Hey everybody, it's Coach Eric, and I wanted to chat with you a little bit about some bows. So there's lots of bows that are out there, and it's hard to know which one's the right one, and there's lots of different reviews out there. I thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the bows that we've used here at the club for about the last 8 years, and tell you about why we chose them and why we continue to use them. First off, I'm going to start by talking about this bow that we usually have for the younger kids to use. It's made by Bear, and it's their Crusader Bow. The bow itself is made out of fiberglass. It has a hard plastic grip or handle where you'd be shooting off the shelf. It's usually sold in a set where you would get the bow, the bowstring, 2 fiberglass arrows, a little paper target, and a little arm guard, and that's usually sold for anywhere from $40 or plus or minus, depending on where you're getting it from. And so that's not too bad. It's great for boys and girls, typically aged as young as 6 or 7 years old, all the way up until about 10 or 11 years old. And a lot of it has to do with just the arm's length and arm strength of the people that are using it. So usually this works fairly well for younger kids because the draw weight on the bow is about 10 to 15 pounds at the most. So depending on how far they're drawing it back, they might only be putting 5 pounds or 8 pounds of pressure into it. Maybe they're getting it back further, they're getting full 10, 11 or 12 pounds of pressure into it. So it works pretty well for kids that have got shorter arms and that are on the younger side of things that they can shoot. One of the reasons that we like to use this bow is that it works for people whether you're right or left eye dominant. So you can shoot on either side of the bow. You'll be shooting off the shelf. So you want to make sure that if you are using this, you're going to want to be using arrows that have got feather vanes on them instead of plastic vanes, because you're shooting off the shelf. The plastic vane is going to cause the arrow to kind of kick a little bit as it passes the bow on release. These particular bows, we've been using some of these for going on 8 years now. They're really very durable. They hold up really well. And in fact, we still have some of the original bowstrings that we're using on some of them too. Some of the downsides with it is when it comes, it's going to have just a bare bowstring. So there's not going to be any serving, there's not going to be any knocking point on that. So that would be something that you would need to add yourself. And particularly the serving is important because with the exception of those 2 arrows that it comes with, a lot of standard types of arrows that you might order to replace the ones that your child might lose or destroy, they're not going to fit on the bowstring. They're going to slide around on the bowstring because the bowstring's a little too narrow. So you're going to need to add some serving to it or buy a bowstring that has serving and a knocking point already kind of preset. And you're set to go. Otherwise, you'll put the serving on yourself, and then you can get a knocking point, and then you're going to fit a knocking point onto the bowstring. Once you do that, then your bow is going to be pretty much on par with what we use here at the studio. Your son or daughter will be able to practice with it at home or wherever they can do that safely. And that's about it. So that is the Crusader Bow by Bear. Very durable. Can be used by both right or left eye dominant shooters. Needs a little bit of modification to make it really very good for archery practice. The consistency of having a proper bowstring and the knocking point. Otherwise though, great little bow, good value. Hey, if you're interested in any of the products we've talked about today, you can find links to them on Amazon down in the doobly-doo below. If you order those, then that will give us a little bit of credit, so we say thank you for doing that. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to shoot me an email at info@Gryphon Fencing. Be well.